Hello, dear friends. Myself, Dr. K.N. Gaikwad, Department of Botany, KTHM College, Nasik. Today, we are going to study the practical paper third, BO 243. Last time we have seen normal and abnormal secondary growth. Today, we are going to study of tetrasporangiate anther, types of ools, and dicot and monocot embryo. First of all, let us see first practical study of tetrasporangiate anther and study of whorls. You know that typical flower consists of male sexual organ. It is called androecium. Androecium constitutes the male reproductive part of the flower. It is made up of stamen or macrosporophylls. Typical stamen shows three parts, that is filament, connective, and anther. Filament is nothing but the basal sterile stalk that supports anther at its tip. Second part, connective. It is a middle sterile part of tissue, patch of tissue that connects filament with the anther and also the two anther lobes together. Connective is actually a prolongation of the tip of filament. Third part, upper part of the androecium stamen is nothing but the anther. Anther is distal fertile hollow bag consisting of two anther lobes fused together. In each anther lobe, there are two pollen chambers. They are also called microsporangia, containing pollen grains. That means microspore, which are haploid and form asexually. As there are four pollen chambers, a typical anther is called tetrasporangiate. Tetra means four, four sporangiate. If we take the section of tetrasporangiate anther, it shows four groups of microspore mother cells surrounded by tapetum, middle layer, endothecium, and epidermis. Epidermis is outermost layer of the wall of anther. It protects the inner tissue. Endothecium epidermis is followed by a layer of elongated cells having fibrous thickening. This is called endothecium. The cells of endothecium are hygroscopic and help in digestion of anther and dispersal of pollen. Middle layers, these are 1 to 3 layers present below endothecium. These layers become stretched and crushed when anther become mature. And the tapetum is the innermost layer and cells are full of dense cytoplasm and multinucleate at maturity. Tapetum is actually nutritive tissue that becomes supplied the food material for the development of the pollen grains. It is single layered and filled with food material. It nourishes the developing pollen grains. Archisporium. Pollen mother cells of Archisporium remain surrounded by a tapetum. At maturity, the Archisporium cell get transformed into pollen mother cell or microspore mother cell. Microspore mother cells are nothing but the diploid before division. Macrosporogenesis. Each pollen mother cell, that means PMC, undergoes meiosis to form four haploid pollen grains. That means development of pollen grains from pollen mother cell is called macrosporogenesis. And at the center of sporangia there is a pollen grains or microspores. Typical pollen grain is unicellular, uninucleate, non-motile, haploid structure. They haploid due to meiotic division. Pollen grains in different plants vary in their size, shape, color, ornamentation, number, and weight. In different plants, there are different type of the pollen grains are there. At the time of discharge from the anther, pollen grains is two-celled. At this stage, it is called male gametophyte. Each pollen grain produces two non-motile male gametes. Now, this is the diagram of transfer section of tetrasporangiate anther. This is the outermost layer. It is called epidermis. It is unilayered. It is followed by a single layered endothecium, and 2 to 3 layers of middle layers are there. And at the center, or toward the periphery of pollen mother cell, there is a nucleus region. It is called tapetum. And within tapetum, these are called sporogenous cell or microspore mother cell or pollen grain mother cell. Tetra means 4. 4 sporangia are present in the lobes. That means it is called tetrasporangiate anther. At the time of examination, practical examination, you have to observe and show what is the characteristic feature of epidermis, endothecium, middle layer, tapetum, and archisporial mother cell. And this is the connective. Now, second point of this practical study of types of ools. In angiosperm, flower is specialized structure meant for sexual reproduction. This is the definition of flower. The gynoecium or pistil is the female reproductive part. Members of gynoecium are called carpels, or they are also called megasporophylls. Typical carpel consists of 3 parts, that is ori, style, and stigma. Ori is the basal, swollen, green, fertile part that encloses one to many ools. Ools are also called megasporangia. Ools are produced on a special tissue called placenta. Placenta tissue are fertile. The distribution of placenta and arrangement of ools on it is called as placentation. Now let us see what are the parts of typical ool. Funiculus is nothing but the stalk which is small or long, by which oil is attached to the placenta. It supports oil and also serves as transport link between placenta and oil. The point where funiculus is attached to the oil is called hilum. Then basal portion is called chalaza. It is the basal region of oil near funiculus. Integuments are outermost protective layers of oil. The number of integuments may be 0, 1, or mostly 2. That means ategmic, unitegmic, and bitegmic ools are there. They may also show the presence of stomata and chloroplast. Integuments are protective in nature. Next part of the oil is the small pore present at the apex of oil. It is surrounded by integuments. Pollen tube carrying male gametes passes through micropyle and finally reaches the female gametophyte. Let us see what is the diagram of parts of typical oil. The next part is nucellus. It is present within the integuments below the micropyle. It is made up of parenchymatous cells containing reservoir material. It is nutritious tissue and nourishes the developing embryo. Female gametophyte. It is also called embryo sac. It is present in the nucellus toward the micropylar end. A typical embryo sac is an elongated structure with 7 cells and 8 nuclei. 80% of angiospermic plant shows the 8 nucleated embryo sacs. At the micropylar end, it shows the presence of 2 synergies and 1 egg. At the center, it has two polar nuclei. At the chalazal end, it has three antipodal cells. The egg unites with first male gamete to form zygote, which later on form the embryo. The polar nuclei unites with second male gamete to form endosperm, and that's why that endosperm is triploid in angiosperm, and that phenomenon is called double fertilization, and triple fusion is observed. This is the diagram of typical ovule. This is the stalk-like structure. It is called funiculus. Then this is the cells are there. Base of the ovule, it is called chalaza. There are the two integuments are there. They are protective in nature. And at the top of the ovule, there is a small opening. It is called macropyle. At this end, this is the nucleus. And this nucleus is actually nutritive cells are there. And this is the megaspore which develop the embryo sac. Embryo sac is containing 8 nuclei. Upper one egg and 2 synergids are there. 3 antipodal cells are there. And at the center, there is a polar nuclei. That means typical ovule shows the funiculus, chalaza. This is the funiculus, this one chalaza. There are the two integuments, small opening macropyle, nucellus, and embryo sac. Now let us see what are the types of ovules. Orthotropous ovule, or it is also called atropous. There are 5 to 6 types of the ovules are there. First one, atropous or orthotropous. The body of atropous ovule is upright with macropyle, chalaza, and funiculus falling or lie in straight line. Atropous ovules are known to occur in some 20 families of angiosperm, like Polygonaceae, Piperaceae. Second type of ovule is anatropous. In this type, due to unilateral growth of funiculus, the whole body of ovule is inverted through 180 degrees Celsius. As a result, the macropyle comes close to the base of the funiculus. The nucellus remains straight, that is macropyle, chalaza lie in one line, and the funiculus lie parallel to it. It is the most common type and occurs in several families of both dicot and monocots. Third one, campylotropous. This type of the ovule has curved body, but its curvature is less than that of anatropous ovule. As such, the macropyle and chalaza are not in the straight line, and the funiculus lies at right angles to the chalaza. Campylotropous ovules are known to occur in families like Caparidaceae and Chenopodiaceae. Fourth type of ovule is amphitropous. Such type of ovules has pronounced curved body like that of anatropous ovule, but here the embryo sac within the ovule also bends and becomes horseshoe shaped. Amphitropous ovules are found in the members of Loganaceae, Alismaceae, and Butomaceae. Fifth type of ovule is called hemianatropous or hemitropous ovule. In this type, the body of ovule is turned through 90 degree. That is, it is horizontally placed on the funiculus. Then the macropyle and chalaza are on horizontal line, and the funiculus lies at right angle to the line. Hemianatropous ovules are found in the members of Ranunculaceae and Primulaceae. And last type of the ovule is called Cercinotropous. In this type of the ovule, the funiculus is very long and form a complete circle around the body of the ovule. This type of the ovule occurs in certain Plumbaginaceae, for example, Plumbago, another family Cactaceae, for example, Opuntia and Phylocactus. And these are the diagrams of different types of ovule. First diagram is orthotropous. Here macropyle, chalaza, and funiculus are become in straight line. This classification is depending upon the position of funiculus, chalaza, and macropyle. Now second one, cercinotropous. That means funiculus is somewhat bent, micropyle is toward the top, and chalaza become bent toward the funiculus. Third type is anatropous. It become turn 180 degree. That's why funiculus and macropyle are comes together and chalaza is goes to the top. Now it is D1, hemianatropous. Now macropyle and chalaza become in horizontal line and funiculus is at straight line. Now E diagram amphitropous. Amphitropous embryo sac is also bent and funiculus become bent up to 70 degree toward the funiculus. And last one, campylotropous. It is less bent than the E or amphitropous. In this way, we have studied different type of the holes, that is orthotropous, cercinotropous, anatropous, hemianatropous, amphitropous, and campylotropous. Last point of this practical is study of dicot and monocot embryo. After fertilization, that is fusion between male gamete and female gamete, series of changes occurs in the ovule, resulting in the formation of seeds. A seed is therefore a fertilized ovule consisting of seed coat and embryo. There may also be remnant part of nucellus called perisperm and also an endosperm. Embryo consists of suspension situated near the micropyle, cotyledons toward the chalaza, and small embryonal axis called tigellum. Dissection of embryo. Seed, it requires mustard seeds or cucumber seeds or tomato seeds. They are commonly used for practical purpose to dissect the embryo. Now let's see what is the procedure of how to dissect. Place the seed on the stage of dissecting microscope or under binocular. Locate the macropyle which appears like a small opening. Third point, remove the seed coat from this point with the help of two sharply pointed needles. Once the seed coat is removed, embryo could be seen clearly between the cotyledon, and after that place this embryo on slide in drop of water and observe the structure of embryo. Dear student, this is the procedure how to dissect the typical embryo from seed. Now these are the diagrams of dicot seed and monocot embryo. This is the dicot embryo and this is monocot embryo. In dicot seed, there are the two cotyledons are there. This is the brown color seed coat. These are the endosperm. In monocot, you will get only one cotyledon, and embryonic stem and root is there. That is radicle and plumule is there. Diagrams are very beautiful. Typical embryo shows the radicle and plumule which are responsible during germination for shoot formation and root formation. Now to remove mature dicot embryo. Crucifer embryo is typical of dichoton. For example, Capsella bursa pastoris. It is the commonest example. However, mustard seeds would equally be useful. Let us see how to dissect the Capsella embryo. Take out young and healthy seed from the fruit. Remove the seed coat while observing the seed under dissecting microscope. A curved embryo can be easily seen and separated and mount under microscope with the help of using mounting medium, that is the glycerin, and observe the characters. If we observe the characters, the embryo consists of embryonal axis with large two lateral cotyledons. The cotyledons cover the small plumule, that is the shoot, which is terminal in position. At the other end, it is a swollen suspensor. Portion of embryonal axis which is above than the level of cotyledon is called epicotyle, and the portion below the level of cotyledon is called hypocotyle. The epicotyle form the plumule, that is embryonic shoot, and lower end of hypocotyle form the radicle, that is embryonic root. In the hypocotyl region, the central cells become somewhat elongated and form the procambial strand. The pronounced curvature of the cotyledon is due to their wall own enlargement and also of the hypocotyl. Next point, how to observe the monocot embryo. Commonly, maize seeds are used for dissection. Take the LS of maize seed and observe under the microscope. And observation are that it is a fruit, that is caryopsis, where fruit wall is fused with seed coat. The grain consists of seed coat, fruit wall, and endosperm. Then cotyledon, plumule, and radicle. Outermost covering is made up of seed coat and fruit wall is fused together. The grain shows two regions. The larger portion is endosperm and smaller portion is embryo. We have seen the diagram. Embryonic root is there. Embryonic shoots are there. Dicot embryo and monocot embryo. What are the observation? Fifth one, the endosperm is nuclear tissue which store a large amount of starch. It is separated from the embryo by epithelial layer. The embryo consists of one shield-shaped cotyledon called scutellum and the embryonic axis. In the grass family, cotyledon is known as scutellum. It absorbs food material from the endosperm which is supplied to the growing embryo. After germination, the embryonic axis consists of plumule and the radicle. Plumule is lateral in position and is surrounded by leaf sheath called coleoptile. Radicle is surrounded by root sheath called coleorhiza. Okay, in this way we have seen three points are there. That is tetrasporangiate anther, structure of tetrasporangiate anther, then structure of ovule, types of ovule, monocot and dicot embryo. Thank you.